By the end of this chapter, you should be able to describe what economies of scale are, explain the types of economies of scale. The real world is dynamic, and firms are constantly growing. As a firm grows, its productive capacity increases and it experiences economies and, subsequently, diseconomies of scale. Economies of scale are measured by the decrease in the long-run average costs of the firm. What is economics of scale? Economies of scale are the cost advantages that accrue to a firm as the firm increases in size. The figure shows the long-run average costs of a firm. Output, quantity produced, is plotted on the x-axis, and long-run average cost is plotted on the y-axis. The long-run average cost curve is U-shaped. When long-run average costs are falling, between points A and B, the firm is experiencing economies of scale. The level of output that corresponds to point B is the optimum output. In the long run, it is the point at which all available economies of scale are achieved. It is also the point at which long-run average costs are at a minimum. There are two types of economy of scale: internal economies of scale and external economies of scale. Internal economies of scale are benefits to the firm that originate from the organization itself. External economies of scale are benefits given to the firm that originate from outside the firm, especially from neighboring firms. Internal economies of scale can be subdivided. Marketing economies. A large firm can purchase inputs at a lower price than a smaller firm. Larger firms will tend to buy in bulk and so secure discounts. As a main customer of the supplier, the firm will be able to communicate directly with the supplier. It can set standard sand prices to suppliers. The large firm is also able to afford to advertise, thereby increasing sales. This increases market share. For the large firm, output is large and advertising costs are spread over a larger output. Therefore, advertising costs per unit are low. Financial economies. Large firms are considered less risky and are therefore able to secure loans at lower rates of interest than small firms. Also, larger firms have more sources of finance. For instance, a public limited company can sell shares on the stock exchange and thereby acquire more funds, unlike a private limited company. Managerial economies. Large firms are able to employ a greater number of managers and middle managers. The management-to-worker ratio in a large firm might be lower than in a small firm. They are also able to attract and pay for the best managers. Research and development economies. A large firm will have the funds to set up its own research and development department. It will be able to employ top innovators and scientists. Welfare economies. Large firms can use funds to improve the working conditions and overall welfare of their employees. For example, recreation rooms, canteens with subsidized meals, and free or subsidized healthcare. Technical economies. Certain types of machinery come in a fixed size. A small firm might underutilize such a piece of machinery, whereas a larger firm with a higher output will use the machinery more efficiently. For instance, Mama's Bakery purchases an industrial oven for $10,000. This oven can bake 400 loaves at a time, but she only bakes 100 per day. Bunty's Bakery sells bread to shops all over Ireland and uses this same oven to bake 2 batches of loaves each day. Bunty's Bakery uses the capital more efficiently than Mama's Bakery. Economies in the use of labor. As the firm employs more labor, greater division of labor is possible. This leads to greater productivity and increased output. External economies of scale arise outside the firm as a result of the growth of the whole industry, improved infrastructure. Large firms might induce local governments to improve roads, bridges, and general infrastructure. All firms in the area will benefit. Firms might indirectly contribute to infrastructure development when they pay fees for planning and building permission. Agglomeration. Large firms might encourage related firms to set up nearby. There is, therefore, a cluster of similar firms that benefit from each other. Labor. The clustering of firms encourages the development of a skilled pool of labor. Workers trained by one firm might shift to another firm nearby, benefiting the firm that did not spend on the training. Nowadays, a firm does not even have to be located physically close to another firm to benefit from this external economy, as workers, trained by a given firm, might migrate to another country to work in a related industry. For example, European immigration into the UK, and Caribbean immigration to the USA, UK and other Caribbean states. Use of waste products. Some firms might use other firms' waste, or even byproducts, in their production process. These firms benefit by locating close to the firm that produces the waste product.